Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan, and I'm here to host our show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. I have my co-host, Kelly, here. Are you there, Kelly?
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Kelly.
and I have my other co-host, Barbara.
Hi.
Are you there, Barbara?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everybody.
Okay.
Hi, Barbara.
Now, we should also,
Hi.
this is a special occasion because this is Kelly's 100th show.
Oh, my
Aw,
goodness.
thank you.
Congratulations, Kelly.
Thank you.
And,
I'm excited.
I mean, it's interesting because whenever I think back to, the first time that she was on, I mean, it was just so funny. I mean, she honestly didn't think anything was going to happen. She didn't think I was going to have her back on. She didn't think that she had anything to say. And she says that, you were talking about how the show has really changed your life. Am I right?
Oh, it has. It really has. Yeah, a lot. I mean, everything has changed, and it's been in such a good way since then. And, every day there's, a new surprise. So, yeah, there's something with this show, that's for sure.
It's endless.
Now,
The subject
It's
matter is
endless.
amazing.
Yeah, that's for sure. And just, the open acceptance in the community that is being formed is just, unbelievable. I mean, I didn't know that I could belong to something like that with a bunch of open-minded, smart, like-minded, people that are all into, doing the best that we can and having the most positive life experience. And,
Well, it
we
goes to
just...
show you, Kelly, sorry to interrupt you, but it goes to show you that if you're a good person, the karma comes back. And look how good you've always been with just being a good-hearted person and always having good intentions for the universe and people around you. And now you were surprised with something so special and so great, becoming a co-host of a show that you're helping so many people every single day.
Aww,
Kelly is
thank
pure
you.
love. Kelly is pure
Aw,
love.
Pure love.
Thank
That's
you.
right. Pure love.
Thank
Now,
you. I
I
appreciate
think
that.
what we agreed on today was that we were going to be interviewing each other and over some set topics, okay? And I guess being that it's Kelly's 100th, I think she should go first. Don't you think so, Barbara?
I do, definitely. She
Okay.
deserves it.
Oh, thank you.
So let's see some of the questions that we have here for Kelly. Now, as I understand it, there was I think a time frame when you went to Spain. Is that true?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was my high school graduation present.
How long were you
Who
in
was
Spain?
this present to you?
I was there for a month, but I went to different countries. It was funny because I looked it up, and the year that I graduated for females was the year that the top, number one gift for a female graduating high school was getting a boob job.
Oh, my goodness. You're kidding me. What year was that, if you don't
No,
mind me asking?
I'm not kidding, and I'm like, well, I'd rather have the trip.
Yeah, well, maybe you already were well endowed.
Well, not really.
Well,
but
you certainly wouldn't want the
I
breast.
could
You
use more.
certainly wouldn't want the breast implants if you were a man. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
I don't know,
A man graduating from college, son, we're gonna give you breast implants. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's.
So,
what was the biggest thing you learned on the trip?
well, I think the biggest thing that I learned was here I was 18 years old, right out of high school, and it required me to take 2 or 3 flights there and 2 or 3 back. And if I remember correctly, there might have been a total of 5 places that I stopped, between the going there and coming back. But I was doing it all by myself at the age of 18. So
all by yourself. Okay,
basically,
first of all, Kelly, I just have to ask you, who gave you this gift? Was it your parents?
My parents and my aunt and uncle that were living in Spain on like the naval base over there in Rota.
Okay, and they just said, here, you're on your own, figure it out?
Well, no. I mean, it was planned flights. Like you'd have connections here, a layover of 2 hours here, 5 hours there, kind of a thing. And I think I went all the way down to like Dallas, and then flew to like I think it was the UK, and then I went from there to Spain. I don't know. It was something crazy because it was a different path each way. And I was by myself going to and forth, but I was staying with them while I was there. So,
okay.
But the traveling by myself part was pretty big,
Very big at that age.
Yeah, and especially since they didn't have the tracking like they do now. You can't, back then you couldn't look it up online and say, oh, yeah, okay, she made it. So they kept trying my aunt and uncle, and they weren't picking up because they took me down to the officers club and got me good and drunk so I'd sleep that night.
Oh, my goodness. Was that a first time for you?
Yeah. So it probably didn't take too much, but that way they thought it would help you with jet lag. So
I bet you slept well.
Oh, I did. Yeah, right into the afternoon the next day.
What part of Spain did you go to?
Well, I stayed like around Rota and Sevilla, and we ended up going like throughout Andalusia, which is like southern Spain, and it's beautiful. And it was, kind of a big culture, not a shock, but yet it kind of was, because you have street vendors that are selling like foods that you've never seen before, and things are hanging from, markets, and, I don't know what some of that stuff was. It looked like a shank or something off a lamb, and there it is hanging, and you think, well, I hope that's cured, but it kind of looked waxy. And then when you get seafood, it looks like the eyes are looking at you because they don't take the faces off. So I was like, whoa, okay. And they have like squid,
interesting,
calamari vendors going up and down the beaches. And it was really interesting. And I even had ox's tail after they ended up having a bullfight. And
wow.
It was really interesting. I didn't like the bullfight aspect. It was.
You didn't
good.
like the bullfight,
but I liked how it tasted afterwards.
Wow. So they actually cut the tail of the bull that died?
Yeah.
Ah, wow. That's a major tradition that you took part in.
Yeah. Like I said, I did not like the bullfight. I was kind of, rooting for the bull, but usually that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but, I know. I saw one of those in Mexico too. It can be different, but so you just kind of go along with it though when you're in somebody else's culture and just kind of absorb it. What were you thinking being so young? All of a sudden you're in high school as a normal, you're doing your everyday life, and all of a sudden you're thrust into this new culture. How were you feeling? Were you feeling alive? Were you feeling like, wow, I'm really living? And how were you feeling?
I honestly, it was brighter sun. I was chasing lizards, so I was in my element. There was blooming jasmine, and like night jasmine. It was nice, and we stayed in really nice hotels when we weren't staying at their house, and it was just an amazing adventure. Like, I did not want to come home. I really didn't, because I was enjoying myself so much. Like, every day was a new adventure.
What year was this? What year was this?
1993.
Okay, so basically there wasn't cell phones and computers. So were you talking to your friends back home?
I was sending postcards, and that's how we had to do it, or by landline telephone, where you'd have to pay a huge amount of money to talk per minute with international calls. So, yeah, it was by the time my parents found out I was okay, they were a little bit mad that nobody bothered to let them know. But, you're in the middle
during
of
the
somewhere.
That's funny. During the first few days, were you realizing that this is going to change your life, or were you thinking, wow, or how long did it take till you realized this culture is going to affect you, or you're learning, or, you feel like, hey, my horizons are broadened and now I know what the heck that means?
I think it was when I stepped off the plane. I mean, it was kind of scary getting there because, I'd only been like in an airport like O'Hare, or the one over by LA like once. So, having to make that connection to the next flight with all my luggage, going from one end to the other in the short amount of time that I had, was really challenging. And sometimes they'd have like an adult that worked for the airline, go with me so I wasn't completely lost. But
yeah, but I bet you
pulled
it out somewhere. You pulled it out from in you that maybe you didn't even know you had this assumption, or you had that in you to, like, if you go into this mode and you're like, hey, this is survival mode. I'm going to do what it takes to get myself from A to B, and you do it.
Yeah.
Way older than me that never have traveled. I don't think I can do it. What if the signs are not in English? And hey, you know what? Figure it out.
Yeah, and you can't Google it because they didn't have that. So it was like, if you bought a translation book, you're already going to be behind because you're going to be looking up something that somebody said 10 minutes ago. So
right, you don't have time for that, right?
No, because people are talking in regular conversation, and you're going to get lost. But
right.
The funny thing is, when I went to Western Michigan University when I got back, and I did not want to come back, I ended up taking Spanish, and it was supposed to be beginning Spanish, but I found out your beginning means you've already had 2 years in high school, which I did not because I took French. And I thought, well, I've got it in the bag. I was in Spain. And then, here I go, like, show and tell in the class, at Western, and I'm thinking I'm some big shot. Then they're, like, the first day, okay, everyone, we're just going to be speaking Spanish from here on out. We're not going to be using English. And I'm like, what?
That's funny. So
yeah,
after you arrived and you had the bullfight experience, did you try any other kinds of foods that were different for you?
The calamari. I really liked it, and I still do. There's only a couple places that do it like they do in Spain. And,
how do they do it?
They kind of like, they fry it, but it's like a really light, frying, and it's kind of crispy and juicy. It's not stringy and rubbery like you'd think. And, there everything was in nice big pieces, and over here they don't get it as good, I don't think. Being that they're right,
I like
on
the light fried. The light fried is good. I don't like it when there's so much batter. And American restaurants tend to do that.
Yes. Americans will, deep fry and batter everything.
I have a question. What was your museum experiences like?
Oh, gosh. Well, I went to a maritime one, which was really interesting because there's a lot of sunken ships there. And, they said, if you go to the coastline really early in the morning, you can probably find some, treasure that washes up on the shore. But I never had the time to do that. But, but that is all property of their country, so you're not really supposed to take it. The other museum I went to was actually a medieval torture museum, but the reason that they have that was I know, it's like, what? But
I don't think that's funny. I don't like that stuff at all. I don't like torture. I probably wouldn't have gone.
No, but their angle of it was good because they were trying to draw attention to the fact that a lot of countries are still using those. They just have, modern upgrades on a lot of the same concepts, and they were trying to do away with it, which, you know, really brought a humanitarian aspect to it that I appreciated, that they're trying to raise awareness to get rid of this. And, you know, because if you don't know it exists somewhere else, then you can't help to get rid of it. So
that's true.
You know,
is that one part how it changed your life, to become a humanitarian?
Yeah, it really did. I mean, I had already done things like in my high school that, you know, I did a social awareness club that I started, and we got recycling in there. But when I saw that, and that really hit me deeply, it made it, I mean, when I was touching something, you know, because you could stand in front of an Iron Maiden, you know, things like that. And when I touched it, it was like I felt everything that anybody that had had contact with it felt, and it was so deep and shocking to me. And I think that's when I kind of realized that I have like this intuitive, empathic nature. And,
wow.
You know, yeah, and I'd only felt something that strong before in Pearl Harbor, you know, being on the, you know.
I have a question.
So,
I have a
question.
Were these actual things that were actually used to torture people, or were these things that were built to recreate things?
No, the actual things.
Yeah, they were the actual things. They were not replicas. So,
what is an Iron Maiden, Kelly? What is that? I've heard of this before. This is a band.
Yeah.
No, but what is it? What is this contraption? Now I'm curious. Okay.
Well,
tell us.
If you can think of like an Egyptian sarcophagus, you know, like the mummy goes in there, but it's standing on end like a person, and it opens up and it has spikes. So it's not something you want to be closed in.
Wait, okay, this is an iron thing that is as big as a human body, like in the form of a body, and they actually put a person in and lock them in an iron shell?
Yeah, but it's got spikes in there.
Spikes?
Like, yeah, it's kind of like, imagine a Venus flytrap.
Okay, and then this is a slow death, obviously.
Yeah.
They have it where it just pokes you, like, happens, like, pokes everywhere. Do they give you, like, just explain the top part where your head would be? Is it like a hole for your eyes or a hole for your mouth or what?
No.
You suffocate and
eyes.
get poked, or?
Yeah, they had all kinds of things. Like, they had stuff that was even at, like, the witch trials. And so it made me really compassionate for people that were being persecuted for either their religious beliefs, or they had been accused of having beliefs that, you know, they didn't actually have, but nobody cared if they did or not. They were guilty. Or, you know, people seeking political asylum, or being tortured to give answers, like, you know, war prisoners. You know, a lot of these things they were still using in 1993, but then to upgrade them, they would make them electrified. So it was like, wow, we need to get rid of these things now and stop the use of this. And I don't know if people, you know, I don't know if they're still using those or not, but I would certainly hope not. But, you know, I think that kind of ties in with our show, because we're trying to raise awareness, we're trying to raise vibrations and raise positivity, and if enough people join, then maybe we can get rid of the need or the use of such things.
Yes, it sounds like this really stuck with
you
from that trip.
What was Morocco
I learned
like?
so much. Morocco was really a different place. We took a ferry from southern Spain, and we'd gone to Gibraltar that day, and, you know, that was interesting because it's where they would hide out, like during World War II and other previous wars, and they even had electricity in the mountain and an amphitheater, and, you know, you could live in the mountain, and it was so fortified. But then, you know, you go around that and into Morocco, and where I landed, they warn you ahead of time because, you know, people will put objects in your hands and want so many pesetas, and I'm sure it's probably euros now. and they're trying to barter with you, and you want to pay it, bring them down to like half if you're interested. But it was, it was different. I liked the food. I liked the beautiful buildings and the culture, and there was like a snake charmer, and of course I wanted to partake in that, and I did. And then I went for a ride on a camel, and I was told recently that was a camel from a past life. It was like smiling in the picture.
Part of the snake charming?
Yeah, I had the snake around my neck and stuff. It was pretty cool. And
was it a snake?
Yeah. But
you're a brave woman.
I am. Thank you. And so then when I was at the camel place, that's when my uncle was offered 9 camels for me, and my uncle says, thanks, but I'd rather have a Mercedes-Benz. I mean, the guy wanted me for 6 camels, and he brought it up to 9, so that was pretty steep.
He wanted to buy you for 9 camels?
Yeah. Well, see, it was weird. Like, Barbara, you would have experienced this over there at the time. Like, I was blonde, and they were not used to, like, light blonde hair. So everybody wanted to touch it. And it was like the parting of the Red Sea when I would, like, go down, like, a lane. And it was like we had 2 boys that were, like, teenagers that snuck onto the tour bus, and they suction cupped themselves, one on each cheek, kissing me, because they thought I was, like, Hollywood royalty. It was weird. So that was, like, uncomfortable, but kind of cool in the same sense. Like, wow, I didn't know that was a big deal, But, they don't see that very much. So that's why it was. And, being blonde at the time, and, and it was funny because the guy was, like, trying to examine me. He's like, let me see your teeth. Oh, you have good teeth. Okay, you have good childbearing hips. I want this one. 6 camels.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like,
can you imagine what if you were traded into something like that, what your life would have been like? That's just, and that's a reality for a lot of young girls, and that's scary. You're just going into the unknown. They could be abusive. They could be torturing you. They could be raping you. Must have been a moment like, whoa, whoa. What if I was traded into this land? That would have been scary.
Yeah, and I think he would have been upset when my hair started growing out and had dark roots.
What famous horses did you see in Spain?
What?
Famous horses did you see in Spain? And also, did anybody offer to buy you in exchange for those horses?
No, I saw the Lipizzaner stallions, and they were actually from somewhere else in Europe, and they got hidden there during, I forgot if it was World War I or World War II, when they were being invaded, and so they were there for safekeeping. And they are beautiful. They do a ballet to symphony music, and it is unreal. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. So that was extremely fascinating because I love horses, and I used to be in a symphony.
What instrument did you play?
Piano, clarinet, tenor sax, and then I kind of play the Native American wood flute, but I'm not like in a band with it.
Wow.
Thank you.
I was in a symphony too. I played the flute.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, 7 years. It's one of my favorite things to do in life.
Yes.
Symphonic band, marching band, pep band, concert band, any kind of band, I loved it. So that's interesting. Saxophone, clarinet. That's cool. So, okay, Kelly, back to your trip. I wanted to know, what was the biggest thing you learned from your traveling?
the biggest thing was, and especially now after his passing, I saw Prince in concert, and it was amazing. They had fireworks going off the stage. It was just wow. And he played to the crowd, too. I mean, I was very close to being front row, and I was on, like, a friend of mine's shoulders because I met, like, the other, you know, people my age that were on the base, and we all ended up going as a group, and it was phenomenal. And, I mean, all the apartments around, you know, this park had, like, Prince banners and Prince blankets and things hanging off of their balconies, and he's sticking himself out of the top of the limousine, waving at people, and it was like, wow.
A big deal because they don't get American celebrities coming out there, and when too often, and when they do, that is a big deal. And you were there during that time, so you got to see the other culture, how they react to that kind of thing. Because here we just take it for granted. We can go to any concert anytime, but how cool! And it was just. But Prince was one of my favorites too. Did he play Little Red Corvette? Yeah,
and you know, it was really crazy too because there's no drinking age. I mean, seriously, you can get a Happy Meal with a beer. So
weird.
Like, in Spain at the time. So like when I'm standing there, this guy goes around with this big tank on his back with solo cups giving people beer. So, you know, like for 50 pesetas or whatever it was, and I'm like, sure.
Well, it sounds like the aunt and uncle that you lived with were pretty, you know, flexible with whatever you wanted to do at a young age. Why were they living there?
He worked for Department of Defense, I think, and, you know, contracted out by the Navy, the U.S. Navy.
Did they have children?
That's where he was stationed.
Did you have cousins
they were
there?
Grown children. My cousins weren't there because they were grown and had their own families. I'm like the youngest on both sides.
Were you close to them, or were you kind of just getting to know them on this trip?
I was close, yet it was more like getting to know them on the trip because before they lived there, they lived in Adak, Alaska, so we didn't get to see them very much.
Cool. Did you go up to Alaska and see them?
No, I wanted to, but I didn't have that opportunity. I still want to go
to Alaska.
Adak is an island.
I wanted to jump in. Barbara, you in your apartment yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Because we've been it's about 20 to 30 minutes after. Did you want to go to the next person or?
We can
Kelly,
we go
Kelly,
over
thank you for sharing.
Oh,
Kelly,
you're
welcome.
welcome.
For sharing. That was an amazing experience for a young person. And you know what? I really commend your parents for sending you there because it was such a eye-opening, broadening experience, and it kind of formed who you are as an adult. And I think that's a good idea. And I know somebody who is going to do that for their daughter when they graduate from college, and it's so great. You travel, you get broadened. And until I started traveling the world, I never really understood what does broadening your horizons mean until you actually travel somewhere exotic like that. And then you're like, I get it. You come back, and it's like you are filled with knowledge, filled with experience. And it's just really, you feel like more of a well-rounded person, like almost an inspiration is exploded inside of you and carries you on to the next thing, and you start to make goals. It's really, really important. And thank you so much for sharing your details and answering our questions. We really enjoyed that.
Well,
now maybe we can go on to the next.
Okay, who's next?
We're doing roundtable.
Yes, Johnny, we're listening.
Yeah, I'm just wondering who's next.
Well, we have two people, you and me.
Do you want to go next, Barbara?
Tell me. What? What was that?
Do you want to go next, Barbara?
Go next, Barbara?
Sure. Thank you for asking.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like yours might tie in with mine.
Yes, maybe down the road, later in life, I have some experiences like that. But my segment is going to be I graduated high school, so I was 17, and so that wasn't when I was traveling the world. It had to do with travel. I was in the travel industry, actually.
Oh, how exciting!
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So
I just had a deja vu. Wow. What does that mean? I just had a deja vu.
Like,
what does it mean?
Asked something before?
Yeah, and also visually, like when somebody stood up, I literally was there. Oh, interesting.
So
I'm ready for my first question.
So let me ask you this. How old were you when you became a flight attendant?
Oh, I was 18. So I graduated from high school at 17, and I spent some time from Seattle. I went to live with my aunt and uncle in New Jersey. So I did the whole experience, the whole summer in New York. She was a model, and she showed me all around New York City. And that was fun, but I needed to work. Either I was going to go to college or work, and something unfortunate happened with my college fund. So I had to go to work. And I thought, why not be a flight attendant? I already knew how to fly a plane, and I was pretty used to the aviation field because my dad was a pilot, and I grew up with him flying. So I chose that. So
you have a pilot's license?
No, but I know how to fly. You know, having a license doesn't mean that is the only way you can fly. You actually can fly. You don't have to have a license. To answer your question. So anyway, I flew with my dad as a little girl. I had a logbook and everything, and I landed his seaplane, and I took it off. But no, I never did get my pilot's license. I didn't really want to. I didn't really have the desire. So I got this magazine called FAPA, Future Aviation Professionals of America. And it kind of took you through the whole how to get a job in the aviation field. And so I put out a request letter, and back then we didn't have computers, so I typed all these letters. I typed 100 requests for applications there's a lot of airlines. People don't realize there's a lot of airlines out there. And so I would get little postcards saying, we're not hiring right now, or you're too young, or we only take people, who are 19 or 20, whatever their credentials were. But I finally got this letter. Or then I would fill out the application, the ones that I would get, and then what you would do is send in your resume. Well, I graduated from high school, so I didn't have much on the resume, except for a big desire to do this job. Then my first request for an interview was by American Eagle. I flew out to Wichita, Kansas. I had a very good interview. I flew back when they said they would like to hire me.
Wow.
So, I know, the first one. Oh my gosh, how lucky was that? So the first one who interviewed me did hire me. So I think maybe it was 2 different interviews, something like that, but it was very serious. So then I had to go to Wichita, Kansas for my flight attendant training, and it was with a lot of girls, and you sat there for about 1 or 3 months. This was so long ago, so I can't remember the exact time, but you had to sit there, and they were very strict on what you would wear for school, for training. And I didn't have a lot of money back then, and my family was all broken up and divorced, and you know, I was really kind of fending for myself, but my mother was a really great seamstress. So we went to the Goodwill, and I chose a lot of blouses. The blouses were fine. And then the skirts, they weren't fitting, and they were too big, and they were like A-line. And my mom took all these skirts in for me and made them like pencil skirts, totally cute. So I went there and got me a pair of white pumps and a pair of black pumps. And I literally was the best dressed student. And because you know what? It goes to show you, if you're just a little bit creative, you don't need money.
Yeah.
You can, yes. And so that really worked, and I felt good. So then there was about 30 girls, and then we were all kind of fighting for 2 positions because there was only 2 positions for American Eagle. Everything else was for Wichita Air. You had to go up in front of this group of people, the executives and all of the flight attendants that were going to be dispersed elsewhere, and you had to tell them why, your name, where you graduated from, and why you wanted to be a flight attendant. So everybody went up there and they were saying, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I just graduated 2 years junior college. From every single person had 2 years of junior college, plus they were of the age that they were hiring, which was 19. And I got up, and they would say, I want to be a flight attendant because I love people, and I like to fly, and I like to travel. And so I went up there, and I said, hi, I'm Barbara Moore, and I just graduated from Monroe High School. And you could, like, all their mouths were, like, dropped open, like, why are you even here? You didn't even go to college. And I said, and the reason I wanted to, I know, the reason I want to be a flight attendant is because I want to, and if there is an emergency, I want to make sure every single one of those passengers is taken care of. If there's some kind of evacuation or we, God forbid, crash, and there's some emergency evacuation that needs to be done, I'm going to make sure every single passenger is safely out before myself. And if the pilot or conked out, I will be able to land this plane before I make sure all of these passengers are safely out of this aircraft. I said that, and, oh my gosh. And then the next day, they brought in, and they said, okay, our final interview for American Eagle. We all really had a place at Wichita, Kansas Air, which by then, after the training, oh my goodness, I knew I didn't want to live in Wichita. I wanted to live in Nashville, Tennessee, where I could fly these really great Embraer 120 Brazilias. Oh my gosh, were those ever beautiful airplanes. They were fast, they were gorgeous, and I wanted that position so badly. They said, when you come in for your final interview with us, let us know if you want to work for American Eagle or not. Well, I didn't realize everybody wanted to. I told them I wanted to, and only 2 girls got to get that position, and I was one of them. So,
wow.
Yeah. By then, I was feeling pretty good. And when you graduate from high school, you're still like a kid. When something like this happens to you, it matures you so quickly. You feel like, wow, I have a purpose. I feel like on top of the world. I feel like somebody's acknowledging me, and I have something inside of me to give. And all of my high school friends were saying, how could you just move? I was from this like cow town in Washington State, horse country, and they all were staying there. I actually did want to go to college, but wasn't able to. And none of them wanted to go to college, and they were staying there in that little town, and they couldn't believe I was just going to pick up and move wherever I got a flight attendant job. And I was so happy to move out of there. So the minute I got to Nashville, I went in there into the salon. My hair was, I was born blonde, but it was going darker and darker and darker. And I walked out blonde, okay? I changed my appearance like in one day. I was going to become a woman, and I was going to finally be free. Nobody was going to tell me to unload the dishwasher again. So, oh my gosh, it was great. I moved there with no car. I didn't even have a car. I just was going to wing it.
Wow.
So you may want to ask, well, what did you do? How did you get to the airport then?
Yeah.
Well, I called a church. I think the church is a good way. You know, they are always wanting to help people. I said, I'm new to town. I don't have a car. I just got this really great flight attendant job. I have to be to work on Monday. Is anybody, selling a car? This guy happened to be selling a car. I bought a Le Car Renault convertible for $300.
Wow.
Mhm. So
That's
I put
great.
thank you. It was so great, Kelly. I put my red, white, and blue uniform on with the little scarf like flying in the wind, and I was going so fast with the top down through those beautiful green rolling hills of Nashville. Didn't know a single soul in Nashville, Tennessee. And then driving to work, and there's your airplane, and everything was on the tarmac. There was no terminal. These were planes that held 34 passengers. I was the only flight attendant on my plane. It required one flight attendant for all these passengers. Some of the flights were 45 minutes, like we'd go to Paducah, Kentucky, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, little places like that. An hour to an hour and a half was the longest flight. So I would get in front of the passengers and make sure they were seated, and then I would have to do my talk with them, the safety talk right in front of them. There's no recorded thing. I had my cash box. I had to serve them like a meal pack, and everybody got a little tray of like a snack tray, okay? And then they had to pay for their alcohol, or they got their free beverage like soda or juice or water. And I had this little tray with these grooves in it, and then we had a cash box because there was we weren't taking credit cards. We didn't have a computer. We just had to sell the drinks, do the cash, keep that safe, lock it up, do all of our paperwork, a lot of paperwork with pencils. And I'd do sometimes 6 legs a day. And still to this day, when I smell that jet fuel, I get a whiff of that jet fuel when I travel. It brings me back to those flight attendant days, and it's such a great memory, even though that was an exhausting job. After working a couple of days or 2 or 3 days in a row, I would sleep for a whole day, 24 hours straight. I loved it because it was such a great experience of a boost to a person's confidence from child to adult real quickly.
Yeah.
And to have people instill this trust in you, and you are in charge of that airplane and those people's safety. And you just feel it's an empowering feeling, especially too, you still are young. So things like wearing the uniform and walking through the airport and people staring at you saying, look, mommy, there's a flight attendant. It makes you feel good. It's like you feel special. And it was a wonderful thing that I did in my life. I really feel like it broadened me as a person, and it made me know what hard work was and know that I could handle. If I could do that, I could pretty much do anything. And there was no boss. I was my own boss. And I just really, really enjoyed it. And I didn't even want to stop doing it, but our company actually was bought over, and they got rid of all of the airplanes that the flight attendants were flying and then just replaced them with some smaller aircraft at the time. And then I was the actual lowest on seniority, the last hired and the youngest. So there was no other job for me. But you know what? That kind of pushed me into modeling, which I also wanted to always do that. And it really pushed me into doing that because I needed money. But I will never forget that wonderful experience. Who knows? What if they never did get bought over? I could have been a flight attendant for 25 years. I would still be working. Maybe I would be working for a major airline and traveling the world more. Even though we did get special benefits to fly anywhere, on our days off, we were so tired. You're not going to go fly more somewhere. So I was just making the money. And I spent about 5 years in Nashville, Tennessee, until I moved to Los Angeles. So that's what happened, you guys. That's what happened to me right after high school.
Wow. That's huge. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
Kelly, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, we didn't have like GPS back then. We had to do like maps to get around. So, people listening that might not have been old enough to remember back then, it was harder to, figure out how to go somewhere in a city that you'd never been before.
I know, especially a city like that that's not like gridlocked with, blocks and blocks of streets where you eventually are going to find your way back. You can get lost on some kind of country road, and, you are lost.
Yeah, there was no Uber, there's no...
There wasn't.
There was nothing like that. So, that's huge. Like, all you have is a compass and a map and stopping and asking directions, which people hate doing.
They really do. And and then when I even got to LA, we still were laughing at the people who had those big, huge cell phones. This has evolved. This technology has evolved really quickly. And back then, 93, February 93, I moved to LA, Beverly Hills, which was another dream. And it was we only had car phones at first. We did have car phones, remember? And they were big.
Oh, yeah. I had a fake one.
That's funny.
Stoplights. It looked real, but yeah.
That's funny. And then a lot of times they wouldn't even work anyway, and we'd still have to pull over and use a payphone. There's no payphones to even be seen. They ripped those payphones out. Remember those payphones? And then we'd have our long number we'd memorize that was for, when we were out of town for long distance phone calls. Number we'd memorize. And remember we'd use the Thomas guide to get everywhere?
The what?
Thomas guide, where we would look up the address. Yes. And we'd find the address and then we'd get directions through the Thomas guide. I bet people have heard of that, but mostly in LA maybe, because we were going on castings every single day. Sometimes 5 castings a day we'd go on. And then we'd have all of our different outfits for whatever character we were trying to do or modeling. And then we'd have to pull over and use payphones and get accosted on Hollywood Boulevard and just be running and calling our agents. Oh my God, they're getting me. There were so many crazy stories back then, but it really all made us who we are today.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I was in high school when I went to Hollywood and LA. That was when we were on our way back from Hawaii. And, that was an experience in itself because I was only in 10th grade. But yeah, I can imagine, back then, you have to get out of your car if you're going to make a call. And it's not safe.
No, it wasn't safe sometimes. It was crazy. And I remember clearly one really unsafe time. And this whole group of men were coming after me, and I was on the phone with Playmate Promotions, and they're like, get back in your car, Barbara, get back in your car. Because sometimes we're wearing high heels and really nice outfits for whatever interview we're going on. And we stood out, and you get caught in East LA, and you're lost. It's not funny.
Man. Yeah. Yeah, wow. Yeah, I hope you learned self-defense.
Yeah. I always would carry mace.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it Johnny's turn?
I think so.
I guess it's mine. You have my questions, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me go back into.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep, I see it. I'll ask the first one if that's okay.
Yes.
That's fine.
How is the show different than when you first started doing it, Jonathan?
Well, it was different because it feels like it's more of a community now than it was. In the beginning, what made me decide to start doing it was I was selling vitamins, and I kept asking radio people to interview me, but what I kept finding out was that they were limited in what they could talk about. And then I would find out that these radio shows, they had these huge audiences, but they only could talk about certain subjects. And I thought, well, that's kind of limited in the people that you could help, you know. I mean, why not have a big audience and a big subject base, you know? And what happened was I called into this one show to talk about vitamins, and it was a sex show, and they asked me what kind of breasts I wanted in a woman.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
it was like, okay, you know, yeah. See what I'm saying is that's what I'm talking about. It's like you have this broad base, and so when I made the show, I decided that okay, I was gonna it wasn't gonna be named after myself. I figured, and even then, when I wasn't working with anybody else, I wanted the show to be not to be named after me. I wanted it to be something that people would want to help me out with and want to be a part of. And the truth is that I did run into some people that were giving me tips, but nobody was really had it. You know, they were doing things like I would interview people, and then they would talk to me about ideas they had for the show, and it usually translated to them taking it over or them transforming it into something. And I would never do shows. Sometimes I would go months between shows, you know, or weeks between shows. It didn't really feel like a show. It wasn't even on a set time frame or anything like that. And the reason I didn't really work on it was I really wasn't getting a whole lot of positive influence about the show. I mean, I wasn't surrounded by a bunch of people who thought that it was a really great idea and who wanted to make it work. Simply because you didn't get paid a whole lot of money in the beginning. So after the breakup that I had, I got in and started doing more. I started doing more shows. Now you'll see the next question. The next question involves. The point I was going to talk about was Kelly, right? What happened when you came along?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, see, when you came
when
along,
you first got Kelly on the show, what surprised you the most about the show?
Well, I'll tell you what surprised me the most about it was that it was how much fun it was. I mean, I knew it was going to be fun, but I was like, and I did not know that somebody could love doing it that much. You know, that it was going to be that energizing for her, and how perfect she was to do it with me. Because I had wanted to find a partner for a long time, but it wasn't until I think Kelly came along that she sort of, you know, it's like she saw it for what it was. She saw it as something that was bigger than herself, and it had been something that she had wanted to do her whole life. So when Kelly came on, I was really shocked because I was like, I never thought of it as. I began to see it as a show because we were doing it every day, and I began to see someone's eyes light up, even though I couldn't see their face. I could tell their eyes were lighting up every time they would do the show with me. And you know, I didn't know, and I didn't want to force Kelly to be co-host every day. I had no idea that she was going to love it. I couldn't see it. But then it was sort of like, you know, I would hear her inadvertently say things like, "Can I get back tomorrow?" Or, you know, "I can help you get gas." One of my cousins dated one of the monkeys. I mean, just little things. And then I began to realize, like, I was like, okay, Kelly, I know what you're doing. And it's obvious you like doing this. So, I mean, I kept having her back. But then the more I had her back, the more I realized that this lady should be a fixture. I don't want to lose Kelly. I mean, Kelly was... Aww. So it was, and then, you know, now, I mean, since Kelly's been on, I feel like it's been more of a growth, it seems. You know, more of a growing into something. And then, I guess the next question is how did it feel when you came on board, Barbara?
Yes, but I didn't want to ask the question. Maybe Kelly can ask that question.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. What went
Third
through your
question.
mind when Barbara came on?
Well, to be honest, I mean, when it went through my mind, I was like, I saw an incredible networker, and I saw somebody who was very good at motivating everybody into doing things that they wouldn't normally be doing. Like when you talk about the photo shoot, I've never done a photo shoot before, and I've never had anybody talk to me about a photo shoot.
Of course.
What?
Oh, and I just take them for granted. Wow. Are you a little nervous about it, Johnny?
No. But I mean,
Okay.
provided it's we're not reenacting the Iron Maiden, we're gonna put Johnny in the Iron Maiden, okay? No, it's just that I think that I don't know. I mean, I just I think what it is that you've always it's sort of like I think what you've done is you brought in a whole new world for me and Kelly, because now we're starting to imagine things happening that we didn't imagine happen. I mean, it's true. People, Barbara, that me and Kelly just think about talking to. Don't you see what I'm talking about, Kelly?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Like
or we wouldn't feel comfortable, we'd wonder if they would even want to talk to us, At least I wonder.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that's the only reason that you're on. I mean, you're on because you bring a lot to the discussion. You're very motivating. You have the natural desire to be a part of the show on a regular basis, and but I mean, it's like wow.
You.
Yes, we love you, Barbara.
Oh, thank you so much. I love
You're
you guys
welcome.
too. I love doing the show
Good.
every single day. I'm trying to bring the best to it, and I know that we have a lot of possibilities to grow and do so many fun things, especially now that I'm back in my stomping ground, California.
Yes.
I felt a little stifled earlier.
Great.
Yeah, it feels
And
so
I
great.
think that kind of ties into that fourth point that I wanted to get into. And who wants to ask that question?
How about Barbara?
Let me see.
I think I asked
Okay. Okay, let me get back to that right now. Okay, let's see, number 4. Okay. How do you feel the show is now a community?
Well,
do you feel
it
the
was
show
Kelly.
is a community now?
Yeah, I think it's becoming that, and I think it was Kelly was the first person to use that term, but I sort of steal it from her.
What does that mean to you guys exactly? I want to know what that describe community. The show is a community. Describe that.
Are you asking everyone?
Yeah, I don't know. What does that mean? The show is community. I don't know what it means.
For me, it means that it's a gathering place for all kinds of people that are trying to make a difference in the world in a positive way, and to help bolster each other up, daily with things to share, things that are helping them, things that they think might help other people, making like a nice network of people, bringing people together. And to me, it feels like an online home, like chosen family.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Or here's a good example.
Thank you.
Okay, you remember how it was when Hugh Hefner was around, and you're in the mansion, and there's like 60 or 70 playmates there, and then you feel like you're at home. You feel like you belong there. You feel like these are all women that you can talk to and you can get help from, for the most part. I mean, nobody gets along with everybody.
We call each other the Playmate Sisters. The Playmate Sisters.
Exactly.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay, it's like a family.
You can talk to them, you go to parties.
Not as close.
That's a community. A community is sort of like a place where people want to go to, where they belong, and they're helping everybody out. Now, do you understand what I mean by community, Barbara?
Now I do. Thank you for explaining it. I was kind of wondering what you guys were talking about. So I get it now.
Well,
I'm glad.
What do you think?
They're becoming a community.
How do you see it? Do you see our show as like that?
Yes, I do. And
sort
also,
of like an online
just because
town.
we also have other places, so when we're not on the air, we have a lot of places to go, like our page,
Right.
and we're going to have a lot of YouTube shows, and they can always go refer to the chakra cleansing that we post. We keep it up there to listen to at night. We have the meditation now every Sunday, and what do we call it again? The Sunday
Restart.
Sunday restart with our meditation, which I am letting everybody know how much meditation is important, so they can go to that. So it's not like just it's closed. Hey, we're closed. We're never closed. 24/7. You can get something from Life, Laughter, and Happiness just by going to our various different social medias, our group page, our YouTube, and get some meditation. Listen to a show from the past. I mean, Kelly's done 100 shows. I can't only imagine how many you've done, Johnny. And then I don't know. My shows are getting up there. I do it every day since April 3rd.
I know. You were meant to ask. It was 38. You were on 38.
38 shows I've done?
Woo!
Yes. I knew you'd ask, so I counted.
That is amazing.
And now
I remember
we got people coming out of the woodwork. Can I be a co-host? Can I be a co-host? Well,
yeah.
we are happy as 3. We're happy as a clam as 3. And we're going to have you on as a guest, though. We'll have you on as a guest. If you're going to bring enlightenment and positivity to the show, we'll be happy to schedule you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
I remember.
You know what I'm talking about, Johnny.
What?
Oh, yeah. I remember my 38th show, and it seems like it wasn't that long ago. And then you're going to look back when you're at your 100th show and go, wow, 100 shows. It wasn't that long ago when I started,
I know.
Well, we've become more active. I mean, it's become like, what are we doing tomorrow instead of when's the next show? I mean, but, I cannot wait to be in a room with you two for real, like in real life. That's what's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I do need to. When's a good time to talk over the logistics of the photo shoot with you? Is there a good time to go over that, or?
Yes, not tonight because I have a special dinner right after this. Because it's so interesting.
Okay.
After this show, I always have dinner time. Remember, and Priscilla was
I
still
understand.
in school, and I had to go and make her dinner. But now she's on summer. But I do have a special dinner tonight. But you guys, it's like your bedtime because you're 3 hours ahead of me. So sometimes you might not remember that, right? So
yeah.
Yeah. So I could talk tomorrow, though, before the show, anytime.
Oh, that sounds good.
Because me and Kelly, we have a lot of questions. Earlier, we were kind of like, well, gee, what's this going to involve? What's that going to involve? And I think we have just, we figured you would be the ones to answer all that questions because it was your idea to do this. So let's,
and you live right by where, we'd be doing this, so you have more resources at your fingertips.
Oh, who the photographer is and all that, and then get our funding for it, which we need to work on. And my computer's almost hooked up, you guys, but there's a few boxes still because we're busy. But, yes, the logistics, I'm happy to talk to you. But, hey, your interview is not over, Johnny, and listeners are still listening, so maybe we should keep continuing to interview you.
Yeah, okay.
Oh.
Well, I mean, you answered all the questions.
I know, but I
think
had some questions of my own. Those were your questions for
okay,
yourself.
go ahead.
Okay. Well, how many years have you been doing this show?
Since 2007 about, yeah.
That's a long time.
Wow.
I know, it's weird. It's like all that time
That's 10
that
years.
we weren't doing anything. I know, all the time that, I'll tell you when you want to know when the first show I ever did was? The day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. It was see here. August 18th, 2007.
Wow.
I interviewed, and the lady that I interviewed is on Facebook. Her name was Jacqueline Patterson. She's a marijuana rights activist.
Huh.
I interviewed her because she had cerebral palsy, and her cerebral palsy made her have a stutter that was very painful for her physically, and cannabis healed her stutter.
Oh, wow.
Can we still listen to all? Wow, can we still listen to all those shows from that long ago? Are they?
They
on
are in the archives.
Blog Talk?
They are in the archives. Yeah.
Wow, that's
They're
cool.
there.
I should go back and listen. Did all these shows
Now,
by yourself?
I
with
would
no
admit,
co-host.
no co-host. It was just, and I'm telling you, I mean, it did not sound as professional as it is now. I mean, it's now. I feel like I'm having help putting the 500-pound boulder, pushing the 500-pound boulder. I feel like I think the concept, the original concept of the original show is coming out. That it's sort of, I'm having people who are noticing that who are kind of understanding that, oh wow, I want to go up there, I want to talk to people, I want to do this. I want to take part in this, I think the one thing I knew from the very beginning is any time that, you watch a show, the one thing that people forget is how long the credits are. And the names of the people that work on the show are just as important as every other person,
Yeah.
And that's why I was never really that big on naming it after myself. I just thought that it's kind of, if I did that, everybody else had done that. And if I named it after myself, here's what would have happened. Kelly would have gone on. She would have liked the idea of doing a show, the Johnny Show. Oh, okay, I'm going to leave. I'll tell you what, Johnny, I love that idea so much that I'm going to go and start my own show, the Skelly Walters Show. Okay? Is what she would have probably done. I mean, and probably, or she might not have worked as hard to help me out. I mean, don't you think so, Kelly? I mean, if it was the Johnny Alexander show, you wouldn't have probably worked.
Possibly. I mean, I think the fact that it's a concept that is, tangible, like something that it sounds like a goal that a lot of people would like to have life, laughter, and happiness in their lives. It's more of, right away, it's more of like a community, like what, you'd liken to Cheers, where everybody knows your name. It's like that with our group. And it's growing, and we still know each other's names. It's not like there's a million people in the group and we don't know each other. So, I like that it's named after a concept, not a person, and I think it's more motivating to want to help with that because it's promoting something great in the world,
Do you feel that way too, Barbara?
Yes, I do. And you know what? There are people out there. We have new listeners. I had somebody just message me who said, I'm listening. And thank you out there, and you know who you are.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for listening. And it's so fun and to hear that people that you don't think are tuning in, they are. And that really meant a lot to me to get that message. Thank you so much. And I'm wondering if our regular listeners are listening. But when I talk and I'm doing the show, I don't even really think about that too much. I just try to touch upon interesting things, and I just feel so much positivity when I do this show. And I've been interviewed, and I've been an interviewer on various things all my career, and I never felt like this good, this positive, because that's what it's about. It's life, laughter, happiness. It is all about positivity. It is about helping people. It is about making their lives better, answering questions, diving in deep. That's why we did this today. We wanted to take a segment, a couple of years out of each one of our lives, and just ask each other questions so people out there could get to know us a little bit better, know how we
And also, I think that it's
feel more comfortable with
also,
that.
I think it's really great. think it's also really great. You also need to point out that this was Barbara's idea to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Johnny. Awesome. You're always giving me my brownie points.
Yeah, this was Barbara's idea to set this up, and it was because she thought that, you know, I mean, when we did the last one where we interviewed each other, she said we should do this more often. So it was Barbara gave her little feedback, and then she, you know.
And you know what?
I think that, you know.
Oh, remember we were going to put together a little contest of some sort. We haven't figured it out yet, folks, but we are going to have people call in and give suggestions on subject matter and what they wanted to hear about each one of our lives, and also do a little contest for our photo shoot. So remember we were talking about that yesterday, and whoever wins is going to be able to get a free T-shirt and a mug.
Yeah.
I think that we did that. I can tell you. Let me tell you some of the ideas that we have. I don't know if you've heard them yet, but one of the ones was Star Wars, and I messaged Kelly and I said, "What are we gonna do? Put Barbara in the metal bikini?"
Oh gosh, why do you
always
assume that? We're gonna wear like jeans and sweaters, and it's going to be styled really classy and stylish. We're going to be near some driftwood on the beach.
Or we can have Johnny wear the metal bikini.
No.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
No. No, not strapped to Jabba the Hutt. No.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, we're going to have a really good time with this, I think.
Now, do you want to talk about this maybe tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern time about the photo shoot details?
Oh, 5 p.m. is when I have my vet appointment with Carl. So if we could do it like 6 would be like.
Are you okay with that, Barbara? 6 p.m. Are you okay with that 6 p.m. Eastern?
Okay. Will you ask the question again? Okay, 6 p.m. Eastern for what?
It would be 3
to talk
p.m.
about
your
the photo
time.
shoot logistics.
Oh. Well, I think we need to ask the photographer what the best lighting is, but from my experience, that would probably be good. But we need to start a little earlier with our hair and makeup. So probably around.
No. We're talking about. We just want to talk. We just have me and Kelly. We have some questions about the photo shoot in general. We want to talk to you about.
Yes. Okay. When did you want to start talking tomorrow about it?
I was thinking maybe 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. your time. Is that okay?
Let me look at my schedule, please.
Okay.
Hold on, please.
Oh, we could even have a contest to do like the theme song for our show.
That's true. And
that's true.
We don't want to. Yeah, we want to be given the song, so that would be good.
Yeah.
And then we give advertising to the person who gives us their original song that we could use and have all the rights to, and then in turn we will give them advertising and attention and notoriety. So that would be a good trade-off, and let's do that for sure. That's a really great idea. Okay, you guys, that would be fine. I'll talk to you anytime tomorrow before the show, so go ahead and schedule that.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, we'll call you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay, Barbara?
Okay, thank you. And this was a great show. You guys, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I enjoyed getting to know more about my co-host, and I hope all you listeners out there enjoyed it as well.
Okay. So we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay? Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for tuning in.